Welcome to season 2 of The Arena, a show about mortgage, real estate, technology, and the boots on the ground making it happen every day. It's a battle out there. We want to help you fight and win that battle. So today on The Arena, no stranger, by the way, to The Arena, but two partners that I've been working with for almost a decade now. The Lizzie Biddle Group, Lizzie Biddle, Mike Wu. They are servicing Burlington, Camden, Gloucester County, Ocean County, Atlantic, and really they have a network all over New Jersey. Why I really want to have you guys on is because we're about to hit the spring market. We have a brand new year. I know there's a lot of anticipation with rates coming down and real estate's just in focus. And you guys have a niche that not many other real estate agents have, which is military.
VA buyers.
Our VA buyers. And I would argue that if you can navigate a VA buyer as many times as you two have, you can navigate anything. We were just talking before we came on how most buyers grow up in the area they're going to buy in. And so they already know, well, I'm going to buy in that town, and not even that town, that specific neighborhood, or they know where they want to be. And then that's half the battle is just that location, and they know the area. But with you guys, you have people flying in from all over the world, not just the country, flying in from the world. They have no idea they're getting stationed here. They didn't ask a lot of times to be stationed here.
Yeah.
Who wants to live in New Jersey? And where the heck am I going to live? And so you're starting literally from scratch.
Yes, absolutely.
So I just had to open with that. And tell me, what is your process right off the bat with talking to a new buyer and just setting the stage and even getting them to a point where they know where to buy?
Well, I think the first step, we always ask, are you familiarized at all with New Jersey? Do you have family, friends here? Have you ever, not really quite PCS, but gone TDY, meaning it's a temporary duty assignment. A lot of military, they don't PCS, which is permanent change of station. They just TDY, which is a shorter assignment. It could be like 2 weeks. It could be a month or more. A lot of them are going to say no. And based on that, obviously, we are aware of fair housing laws and steering and redlining. So we always have to be mindful of that. But we try to give them a general overview of the Burlington County, which in itself, it's the largest county in New Jersey, and it's where the base is situated. And I would say about 75-80% of our business is in Burlington County.
Yeah, for people that aren't military focused or just don't have ties to it, what are the bases in New Jersey and what are the areas that they service?
So the main mega base really that we mostly service is Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. Now, McGuire and Dix, McGuire is the Air Force section and Fort Dix is the Army section. Now, mind you, we have Coast Guard, Navy, Marines, we have them all there, but McGuire-Dix are joined in Burlington County. It's close to the Pemberton Township, Browns Mills area, whereas Lakehurst is 35 minutes away over in Ocean County, and that's the Navy side.
So, of course, when you're flying in here, you're going to PCS, permanent change of station, you said, and you're going to be assigned to one of these bases. You obviously want to have a short commute.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you telling them primarily? What towns are the most popular?
So I feel like the vast majority of our clients kind of always cap it at 45 minutes. It's always 45 minutes. I would say by virtue of the proximity to base, Browns Mills is a very popular town where we sell quite a bit. The taxes are on the more affordable side as well, so there's that appeal. It has an award-winning early education schools. So we definitely do tailor to the Pemberton Browns Mills area a lot. Mount Holly is very popular, Lumberton, Hainesport. A lot of people know the reputation, I guess, just because of all the commerce, like Wegmans, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Top Golf, of like Mount Laurel, Medford, Marlton, and all the amenities found in those towns. So those are also towns that are very popular. But all in all, I mean, we sell all over Burlington County, but by far the most, Cherry Hill as well over in Camden County, Voorhees, Atco, all over. Everywhere, really. I mean, I know
you guys are everywhere. And by the way, another unique situation, because we work with agents of all walks of life, all in the region, and many agents are very specific to a town or a few towns or an area. Where with you two, it seems like you're all over the place. Mike, I know you're, kind of taking on the roles of the main buyer's agent here. So you're taking a lot of these buyers around. Where are you? How many miles are on your car, Mike?
Right now, 251,000 and rolling. So it's
Is it really?
It is rolling. Yeah, it's
You
like
could do a commercial.
That minivan will never stop.
the minivan will never stop, and it's a Chrysler, by the way. So
Of
that's
course
even
it is.
more kudos to but yeah,
We'll
it's-
tag them in this.
Yeah, it's
Sponsorship.
Sponsor Chrysler.
hey, I got your van to over 250,000 miles. But yeah, we're all over the place, and by and large, to Lizzie's point, our clients are they care about the commute time, and really, I could set a radius around the base, and that's typically how we search. We don't limit to any towns. We don't
We don't take away any towns or add any towns unless our client says, hey, we did our due diligence and, we've talked to some people and we want to take out X, Y town. Well, then we'll do what they say and we will remove them. But we don't like to, and we can't really steer or red line. So unless they specifically specified they're looking at a certain town or want to avoid a certain town, we usually do it based on a geographical.
A lot of people watch it probably don't even know what that means. They don't even know that realtors actually have ethics and standards and laws. So what is redlining and what are you limited in saying when somebody's going to you for a consultation?
So redlining, I mean, we realtors are barred by both here in New Jersey, by both state and federal law from limiting our clients to specific towns or actively excluding towns from our clients' search parameters, making adverse comments about schools,
or I wouldn't live there, or there's a high crime, like anything pertaining to that is something, a line that we cannot cross by ethics.
Right, and it's very hard for our military clients for they're not familiar with the area, and one of the biggest questions, it's two most common questions we get asked is it safe and how are the schools? We can't answer it. We can point them to public data that's there.
The New Jersey Department of Education is where I
Research
and
crime rates, all that is public.
police,
It's all
police
right.
department, the Department of Education for the state, factual database, websites.
websites that but we cannot make any personal comments on it.
Right.
All right. And with the search portal, the active return on the MLS, if we put in a town to be excluded without direct instruction from our client, that's a form of redlining. Got basically deciding for our clients, no, this town's not for you.
So staying on the topic of setting expectation and consulting, because that's really what you guys are. I mean, you more than most have to sit down and start again from scratch. But when we were talking about the focus also on what are the goals when you're buying a home, especially if you're military, because how many years typically would a military family or buyer be in the area?
I mean, on average, anywhere from 3 to 5 is pretty common.
So short term, and that's pretty short, especially in real estate world. So when you're going in, what are some of the mistakes that you're seeing buyers making, knowing that they have a decision to make in that 3 to 5 year span? But what are the mistakes right off the bat?
One is they overestimate on their ability to, let's say if they're handy, they overestimate on the amount of time, amount of energy, and and they underestimate on the amount of money they would take to upgrade a home. Or say,
So they want to build sweat equity.
they want to build sweat
do some
equity,
Which is
upgrades.
good.
awesome, right? That's what we want our buyers
We
to do.
encourage
We
that.
encourage them to do. That's the best way, short term, given their short turnaround time, to build equity in the home, to increase the value of the home without waiting for the market. I understand everybody wants to, wants that HGTV special, that Pinterest worthy kitchen and everything.
White shaker cabinets, the granite countertops, stainless steel appliances.
I watched the YouTube video. I know how to do this now.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. But it's as the old adage says, doesn't matter how much time you think it's going to take, double it. Doesn't matter how much money you have budgeted, double it.
Triple it.
Right? But yeah, that's one mistake. Two is making long-term financial commitments using that asset, using that
Overexerting themselves.
and not realizing that the return on investment, the horizon to return on investment is longer than their time here in New Jersey.
So Lizzie, I know you've had certain situations where this has been people in the ass, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us, and again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is a part of the process of knowing if you're, and really this is for any buyer, if you're going into a property, knowing the location, the potential appreciation, the sweat equity, and the goals. If you're going to be in a property, I'm going to be in this 10, 20 years, maybe longer. That's one scenario, right? Because most likely, whatever you pay for the house, it's going to catch up to it. You're going to appreciate, you're going to have some equity, and it's going to be a good investment long term. But if you're short term, you have to be smart about what you're going into. Lizzie, you mentioned cosmetic focus. What did you mean by that? And what are some of the mistakes, again, that you're seeing people make here?
I mean, I get it. The kitchen is the heart of the home. I feel like most buyers, far and large, do kind of hone in on the kitchen. A lot of them are willing to make concessions with like bathrooms and even location of the house itself, but very few are willing to make concessions for the kitchen. So it's this expectation that everybody has, or not everybody, that most buyers have, especially first-time buyers, I've noticed, is that they want the HGTV kitchen. You know, they want to move in, unpack, and not have to touch the kitchen. But what a lot of them don't realize is that that's the number one ROI, return on investment room, is the kitchen. So more often than not, if you fall in love with a house because it's got a gorgeous kitchen, you're going to be in quite a bit of heavy competition with other people that also love the house because of the kitchen. So I would, a case in point, my own house had an awful kitchen. It was dated. It was small. You know, we saved up, and 4 years later, we took down a wall and we expanded, made it a galley kitchen, and got the new appliances, new everything. But yeah, I mean, it took some time and took some money, but it's something that we were able to customize to our taste. And when we sell, if and when we sell, we'll get that back.
Well, tell me a story about where the goal being the cosmetic features instead of the fundamental way of buying a property. Knowing you when you sell, you need to make a decision. Are you gonna get rid of the house? You're gonna sell? You're gonna keep it as a rental property?
Right.
That decision needs to be made. So what are give me a story that somebody wasn't taking that into consideration and got in trouble?
Well, I mean, it all comes down to the timeline. If you know that you're very likely going to be PCSing and wanting to sell your house in about 4 years' time after you arrived, and you're already buying a home that's got, you know, an updated kitchen, be it a flip or the seller did it, and you're only there for 4 years, what sellers need to realize is that buyers looked at what it looked like when you bought it, and they're going to compare it to what it looks like now. And if they see that it kind of looks the same, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm just paying for market appreciation. You didn't put any investment, time, money, sweat equity, none of it. You're just literally flipping it essentially, like you're going off of the market. Whereas the buyers that are a little bit more savvy and they do put that sweat equity, and they put their dollars into that kitchen or bathroom, whatever that may be, it's those more oftentimes than not, those homeowners that they make a substantial amount of money on the sale, the ones that actually do the work themselves. And they, like, the buyers are going to see like, oh, wow, like I saw what it looked like when you bought it, and now I see all the work you did into it.
Well, and going back to part of my question, which I think every buyer has to ask themselves, especially for a starter home, right? Their first home. What am I going to do with this place? What's the goal here? Am I going to just live in it for a certain amount of years? I get raises, I move up in whatever job I'm in, I get promotions, and I move one day and hope I sell it and roll that equity into the next house? Or am I buying this specifically to build a portfolio, build my wealth as a person, and then ultimately as a family? And I think those are the two options that.
And we go over that when we have our consultation. We ask, okay, what is your exit strategy? What's your exit plan after your time at JBMDL or New Jersey in general is over? Do you want to go on to sell it? Do you want to hold on to it and then add it to your investment portfolio? It's a conversation that we definitely have.
What percentage of buyers do you think really want to build an investment portfolio?
It's very small. I'll be very candid. Maybe like 5%.
Oh, wow.
10% at most, I would say. At the very most, 10%.
Are there certain buyers that you're like, you know that would be the right play, but they seem a little nervous, a little scared?
Yeah, through the consultation, we can generally get a feel for their appetite for risk, and just for someone to, there's there are buyers who, during initial consultations, like they may be on the fence about it, but they're open to the idea. What we typically find is as we get closer to the exit horizon, their mindset changes, their appetite for risk changes, because then they had time to really think about the specific details when it comes to holding an investment property in their portfolio. It could be their first property, or they could have had properties before that they divested from, and the biggest holdback with our VA buyers, it's the location. It's the entitlement as well as the local.
We're not talking
distance.
entitlement like they feel entitled.
No,
Right.
they're being entitled
They're
to like their
entitled,
purchase power
right.
for their next purchase.
Yes.
Right. They want to free up that entitlement, right?
Because with VA, you can buy with no money down.
Correct.
That is the beauty of it. No mortgage insurance, lower interest rate.
Yep.
And frankly, they've earned that right. That's
100%. It's the best loan there is.
It's
It's not stay on that hill.
best mortgage in the world. Even though some agents get nervous about VA, I'll be right there on that hill with you, because it's an amazing mortgage. So that you can go into that first house easily, no money down. If you're going to then keep that property and buy another one, that entitlement might change. However, if you want to keep that house as an investment, you don't necessarily have to sell that to get the equity out of it to put it into the next house.
Right.
You could take a lot of credit out. And then you take net with rates dropping, it's becoming way more affordable than it was. And so you can take that equity out, use that as an actual down payment, buy something else. And now you have renters paying off that mortgage and the line of credit. And you're going to end up building real wealth down the road. I know that we're big fans of that. But like you said, you have to have an appetite for a little bit of risk and take a chance. But like, how do I have properties? I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. And you learn as you go. And now I have multiple properties with great equity, and it feels good to know that I'm building that.
We have had very few clients that they do that at every single duty station. They buy a house and then they rent it out. And I had one that didn't he have a mechanic client? Like he could buy a house $1 million because he just had all of this like money that he made out of every single duty station. He would buy, rent, and he could retire. He's like, yeah, man, I'm laying off of my,
He's a mechanic.
Yeah.
He's a service advisor at Monroe in Mount Holly, right on High Street. Has it turned into High Street?
We don't have to go specifics.
But yeah, he's a veteran. He retired, and every single duty station he purchased a home.
Yeah.
He then PCS out. He rented it out. Once he had about 3 properties under his belt, and there's the way that he chose to do it was he formed an LLC, transferred ownership of those properties to the LLC, refied out, had the LLC effectively purchase the home from him personally, so that then he had one freed up his entitlement. Right, because the homes are no longer in his name, is effectively sold.
A lot of that was just refinanced to conventional, and they get their VA entitlement back.
Yep.
So, and then he repeat the process. At that point, then after the third home, the following home, he just repeated the process. Then he started buying homes outside of his VA entitlement, because the LLC now have this portfolio of assets that he can now leverage.
Yeah, and I know that probably people listen to this and they're like, how do I even get there? It's a mechanic. It's not a financial whiz. Yeah. It's not. It's just somebody that took
one step at a time.
Kind of like I'm sure, just like he has to learn an engine or learn a process of fixing something, he probably took the same approach to investing.
Yep.
There's a great book, The Automatic Millionaire. One of my favorite podcasts, The Diary of a CEO. He was just on, and I have to look it up. Colin, make sure you flash the guy's name. Go look that up. So, but no, the idea with that is I set a certain amount every month that goes into an index fund, the S&P or whatever it is, and then I think what nobody really grasps, or very few people, is that wealth is a long-term play. How do you become an automatic millionaire? Not overnight, obviously, but we're talking over 20, 30 years, compounding over years. You could put a few $100s a month into these index funds, and then if you start in your 20s, by the time you're 50, 60 years old, I know it's old, but it does creep up on you, and then all of a sudden you are a millionaire.
Yeah.
It really is incredible. So the same thing with real estate. I know that someone PCSing in might be thinking, I'm only going to be here 4 years, 5 years. I'm in, I'm out, I'll make a little money, I'll move on to the next one. And then, okay, well, you're going to make some money and incrementally buy better, bigger houses. And one day you're in this big, beautiful house and you might have, a few $100,000 in equity because you've made a little money along the way and you were smart. But what if you still owned all those properties?
Yep.
And now this whole time, renters have been paying off that mortgage for you, and the properties have been appreciating all these years. Now, 10, 20 years later, they're almost paid off. And if you're smart, biweekly payments, things, you can pay them off. Now you're looking at millions of dollars. And that's the situation where now you have the ability to retire anytime you want. That's life-changing. So I think that it's nice that you all understand that. I love talking about the numbers. So anybody interested, we could definitely walk them through that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are different ways of building wealth. Real estate being the easiest, in my personal opinion. It's not the quickest, but it's the easiest to set on autopilot.
Yep.
Right. There's risk in everything, and I think for a lot of people, VA buyers, regular buyers, whatever it is, they really have to get over the initial hump of the fear. You have to accept that in order to build that wealth, whether it's wealth for your retirement or you have a higher target of building generational wealth. Generational wealth has to start somewhere.
Well, one of my favorite things to talk about is multifamilies. And I know that they're few and far in between.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're all over the place and you have your pick. But in the right situations, the right towns, which you all know, they are available. So a lot of people don't realize that if you buy a multifamily, that it might be a little higher price point than you were willing to pay on a single family. The difference here is the units that you're not living in, you can use a percentage of that rental income as your own income, and it helps you qualify for way more. Another reason I like it is you are living in the one unit, and it might not be the HGTV property that you're thinking about, but if you're younger and really just investment focused and want to build generational wealth, that's a move. That's sacrifice for that year that you're going to live in there. That's the minimum amount of time before you can get out of there and rent it again. But that sacrifice really does pay off. So you can qualify for more of a house, and now it offsets your own mortgage. A lot of times, making it so you're almost mortgage free every month. Of course, every property is different, so that's why it's important to have the consultation with you guys. Talk to us. We run the numbers and figure out if that's a game plan that they want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that we advise for our clients who express an interest in start building a portfolio. One of the advice is, instead of looking at detached single-family homes, I know those are highly desirable. Everybody wants that. Everyone wants a yard and everything. But if you're looking at the long-term play as a portfolio, look at townhomes.
Yeah, renters don't want to take care of stuff.
Right. Renters don't want to take care of stuff. You don't want to be worried about, did the renter shovel the snow?
And that's where townhomes do excel.
Yeah.
The renters are the renters power washing the exterior? Are they cleaning the gutters? Right.
A lot of them have HOAs, which take care of the common area maintenance and the big ticket items like the roof and the siding.
Yeah.
Right. And they because the HOAs are there, you were going to get a call. I can't tell you how many times where a landlord has shown up at a property to do their annual inspection, and you go, why didn't you tell me about this damage? Why didn't you tell me that the bathroom sink is
They
leaking?
never do.
Right. So now instead of catching it early and paying a plumber a couple $100 to
Like
fix it,
the mold remediation.
dealing with mold remediation, drywall, probably had to have to gut the entire bathroom. At the very least, replace the vanity. So
Most tenants will not be bothered until the problem has escalated and gone a lot bigger.
Right. And look, this is as a landlord myself, I've had to evict people. I've had situations where I've had expenses along the way. So I don't ever sugarcoat it and say it's the most glamorous thing in the world. But here's my thing. Again, my duplex in Mount Laurel, it nets me enough money after expenses where I have a nice account with money in it. That I'm playing with house money, right? So if I have to spend $500 here, or $200 here, or $100 here, it's not coming out of my pocket. It's coming out of money the property's already made,
Right.
and it's sitting in a reserve. So I always also say, if you're trying to live off this money, if you need the rental money that you're making off your tenants, probably not the best idea
no,
for you to become a landlord, because then, God forbid, if you're paycheck to paycheck and now you have no money there and you need a new water heater, or you need, you have some kind of issue, even something insurance covers, and you have to pay the $500 or $1,000 deductible, and that's going to hurt you. Probably not a good idea.
probably not a good
But-
idea.
So moving on a little bit, when people are buying these houses, we had talked about something that I think a lot of people, especially with affordability being an issue, with utilities, people are going in and they're putting solar on their roof. Now, there are situations where that makes sense, and there's good solar companies out there. I have a friend or two with these companies that are legitimate, nice people, but there's also some national brands and other people that might not have the best interest. So what do people need to look out for when they're putting solar in? Lizzie, I know you were saying this before.
It really comes down to look at what the payments are. Is it a lease to own? Is it just a full lease? Like, there are so many, a power purchase agreement. I mean, there's so many different types of solar panel agreements and so many, like a plethora of companies. And I've been in a situation that a buyer loves a house, and unfortunately, their debt to income is a little bit tight. And because of the solar panels, they don't qualify. We had a listing not that long ago that we received feedback that they loved the house. The house was definitely not the issue, but that house came burdened with a higher solar tax payment, substantially over $300. So that was the detractor in multiple instances. So I just feel like a lot. Yes, there's some solar companies that are good and some, honest, ethical reps. But far and large, I find that it can be very gimmicky, and a lot of homeowners are just kind of bamboozled into thinking that they're actually adding equity and value to their home, and not that they're actually devaluing it.
I think a lot, I've had people that I talked to about this, and I said how, your payment is whatever. They're like, I don't have a payment. What are you talking about? What payment? And they don't realize that there is a payment involved. You still got a loan to put solar on. The idea, though, is you're saving enough in electric, or you're selling credits, or whatever it is, that it's offsetting these payments. You're making money. You're in the positive.
There's very few instances. I will say I have a client, a listing coming up. It's a beautiful home. It's got a pool, and the savings do offset the cost. Like, having solar panels has truly helped them in that instance, but I find that far and large, that's not the majority of people.
Right. And again, you get into these power purchase agreements where the idea is they're just saving. They don't have the payment, but then they're saving a little bit of electricity.
Yeah.
And although they were sold on it, the buyer that's buying your property might not be sold on it, and they don't want to deal with it.
Right.
And a lot of these companies are going out of business, so we can't even get them on the phone.
Yes, we've had a few instances that they went out of business, and
Right.
yeah, we've had that happen.
People have to realize when they sign that contract,
Yeah.
there is a lien put on
A property.
Whether whether the agreement is a lease, whether the agreement is a solar panel purchase plan, but there is a lien that will show up on a title search.
And your new buyer needs to qualify
Correct.
in order to take over that lease and then assumes the lien.
Mhm.
So it is it's just something to look out for sure.
And we've had buyers straight up say like, hey, when we have the consultation, what are some disqualifiers for you? We had a plethora of them say solar panels. Like, you're already going into a 30-year debt. You know, most mortgages are 30 years. And then on top of that, like 20, 25 years for the duration of the panels, it's more debt. They don't want it.
Right, and so what we also notice is with a lot of these agreements, especially with the power purchase plans and the leases, is unfortunately the consumer is suckered in with that initial payment. That first year payment could be like $100 and something, but they don't read the details where there is a stepped increase every single year. You know, as power purchase plan, your initial kilowatt hours is 17 cents per kilowatt. Well, there's a 3.5% step increase every year after that for the duration of the lease, 25 years.
Yeah. So bottom line, most of the time it's not going to be worth it. If you are really looking into it,
It's case by case.
You can reach out. I have someone that is honest and will flat out say it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Or hey, you're in Medford. You see all these little things with leaves on them?
Yeah.
I've seen panels facing the completely wrong way.
It's so ridiculous. You know what solar means, right? You do need the solar part of it.
Right, exactly.
So,
I go, it's a sunny day in the summertime. You basically have sun the first hour of the day, and then to your point, these things with leaves on it just blocks everything out.
Yeah, and I live in again, I'm in Medford, and sometimes it's funny when I'm driving into Medford, it's the most sunny day, and all of a sudden it's just darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I love Medford. Don't get me wrong. My wife, she came from like York County and all open fields and everything, and she said, look, I'll live, wherever in New Jersey, better than I do. Can we just, wherever we go, not a ton of trees. I was like, you got it, and we moved right in the heart of it. Love you, honey. So the final thing I want to talk about is something, and again, now that things are heating up, and I know the two of you, especially being that you have so much work to do of setting the expectation, educating, which is really most of what you do. You guys have seen so much, again, over all the agents that I've seen I work with, because you work with so many different areas, and you have to be quick. You have certain people in Germany that you're FaceTiming and doing video for.
Japan,
Japan, crazy.
10 p.m., sometimes 5 a.m., depending. We try to work around our client schedule, not the other way around.
So I work with a lot of real estate agents all over the region, and they usually have a pretty straightforward playbook, because these are typical buyers they deal with. But with you guys, your playbook is not very straightforward because you're working with people all over the world. I mean, we're talking Germany,
Korea, Japan,
right,
Africa, all over.
Yeah.
And you have to be communicating with them, FaceTiming them late at night, walking through the houses, and just dealing with all the military, the fun government military things that you have to
hurry up and wait.
And and just knowing how to navigate that world. So I know that you guys have been working really hard on putting a guide together. Mike, can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working on the guide. It will encompass a general overview of the areas around base, what the New Jersey market looks like, what the norms for the New Jersey market looks like, both from a regulatory standpoint as well as from an operational standpoint. As well as
it's not like some businesses,
right? The typical business, what most of our clients are asking for, are concerned about: proximity to amenities. How far do I have to drive to the supermarkets?
Yeah.
Right. How far? Where are the hospitals located?
Doctors' offices, hospitals, daycares.
Obviously, we're working within the limitations and the confines of fair housing regulations and real New Jersey state guidelines. But overall, the goal is to provide our buyers a snapshot exactly of where they're going to be living.
Yeah, because I know ultimately the consultation is going to answer a lot of their questions with the two of you. But just having something, this guidebook, this playbook, being able to reference it, if they had that question, oh, what did Mike say again? And they can go and take a look at the process a little closer, right?
So once we are finalized with that, it will be up in the rentals and sales page for the base, which we do admin. So
Awesome.
Mhm.
So if you want to download this guide and take a look at it, I'm going to put the instructions in this video. But if you are a military buyer or a military buyer, somebody that needs to navigate, they're coming into the area, even if you're retired military and you want to sell what you have now and you're looking to buy or upgrade, downgrade, there's a lot you need to know. And the biggest thing is getting the right team around you. So that's the biggest part of it. I think you need a team no matter what, but especially if you're a VA, you're military, you need people that understand the lingo, understand the process, and how to navigate that world. Because any just agent or any online lender or community bank, they're going to mess it up most likely.
Oh yeah, everybody wants in on the VA pie, especially when the market starts to shift. When it was a hot sellers market, like during the pandemic, it was very hard getting VA offers accepted. But when the market shifts, everybody wants the word VA.
Yeah, we love our VA.
Everybody loves VA all of a sudden, which a little salty about to this day. But
let's do a quick debunking section to end this, because VA has its stigmas.
Mhm.
So let's talk about where a lot of concern is, which is value.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, we really haven't had much value with our appraisals. They seem to come in, we're just fine. And of course, if you're buying something, the appraisal not only protects you, but it protects us as the lender. That's the collateral that we're lending on is the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think about it, if we're lending 100% financing on this house, we want to make sure it's worth what you're paying for it.
Right.
All right. So we have a mutual interest in what this value is. But what happens if it comes in a little low? What is the process there?
So that's the beauty of the VA loan, and it's the only one that offers this. It's called Tidewater, which is basically a heads up from the appraiser saying, hey, obviously the appraiser has the agreement of sale in their possession. They're just letting you know, I went to do the appraisal and it's coming out a bit light. Like, I need you to send me comps. Usually it's two business days, 48 hours to send them comps of properties that are similar in size, proximity, they recently closed, and we can dispute that. That value that the appraiser has in mind, whereas there's no other loan that gives you that kind of heads up to be able to dispute it. And sometimes we win. We've had success in getting the value reached quite a few times, actually. Sometimes we lose. I mean, very few people have a perfect record. But yeah, most importantly, it's the fact that we are knowledgeable on the process and we have encountered it many times before.
And let's talk about the difference in lenders with military with VA.
Oh yeah.
Because this is another conversation we have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're not from this area, you don't know Maximus. You don't know any local lender, of course. We don't advertise nationally because we want to be hyper local and service everyone here. But if you're coming in, the Veterans United's,
Navy Fed, USAA.
USA.
Yeah.
And these are national brands and they trust them. Well, I banked with them forever.
Mhm.
What's the big deal? Well, what is the big deal?
I bank with USAA. I have life insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance. I have everything with them, but they're not the best for mortgages, I will say. It really comes down to having a local lender that knows the realtors, including the listing agent, more oftentimes than not, knows the appraisers in the area, knows the inspectors in the area, know the difference. I mean, real estate, it's very niche. Like an appraisal usually goes like a half mile, a mile at most, unless you're in rural areas like where an 3-acre lot, 4 acres lot are not uncommon. But for the most part, they keep it nice and tight. So a local lender will know the difference. Let's say Mount Holly and Mount Laurel. They both have Mount in the name, very different vibes, very different feel of towns. You cannot comp out Mount Laurel to Mount Holly. And somebody in San Antonio, Texas in a cubicle is not going to know the difference, the nuance behind these different towns.
And we were talking with Tidewater, there's a very specific way to present it to the appraiser. And if it's not presented that way in the perfect grid format, they just
And you're the only lenders that fix it for me. I just send you the comps and you do it for me and you go to bed. And a lot of them won't. A lot of them won't.
And so, of course, we work for our clients.
Yeah.
And so if they're watching and go, well, why does that matter to me? Well, it matters because let's say it even comes in 10 grand light. The appraisal comes in 10 grand. And you've
That's the
agreed.
difference between getting the house and not getting it.
And not getting, or you might have to come out of pocket $10,000, where side by side, if we would have done it and if we would have treated it a little differently and worked with that appraiser and got it up 10 grand, we just saved you $10,000. So it's that important. That's why having the right team surrounding you, especially for VA.
Well, yes and no. The depends on what the caveat were when the offer was presented, because something unique to VA too is the VA amendment, the amendatory escape clause.
The mandatory clause.
Right. So if it doesn't appraise, that VA buyer can walk under that appraisal contingency. And they can be made to bring it up unless they said that they're going to offer an appraisal gap or some other terms that were presented in the offer presentation process, but under the appraisal.
Yeah, let's do that one again. Hold on, Kyle.
Yeah.
Hold on. I forgot about that one.
Never correct me again on my marina.
No. So let's talk about when the value doesn't come in.
Yeah.
All right. So again, local lender versus national lender. There's a very specific way to fight that and do what's called a reconsideration of value, Tidewater. And so if you don't do it right, that appraiser might just go, well, you came in $10,000 light, I'm keeping it there.
Yeah.
So, okay, now they're $10,000 low. What are their options? Because as a military buyer, as a VA buyer, you have different options than typical FHA or conventional, I should say.
Well, the beauty of the VA loan is, and it's the beauty because it protects the buyer, but at the same time, it could be like on the other shoe, the curse, I guess, because on the seller side, that's what they worry about is what happens if it doesn't appraise. So in theory, a VA buyer can offer $50,000, $80,000 over asking. If it doesn't appraise, they have that appraisal contingency, that VA a mandatory escape clause, essentially, in which the agreement of sale price is listed there, and if it comes in under, they can walk under that contingency, appraisal contingency, so they're protected. Unless they offered any kind of terms, like an appraisal gap, like $5,000, $10,000, whatever that amount is. That's another segue we'll talk about later, is appraisal gaps, if they're needed, how much, and whatnot. But they are protected under the VA amendment.
Now, that's technically, but the reality is if they still want the house.
Right, then they can come out of pocket.
They can still come out of pocket.
If they have the means and they're willing to, they can absolutely come out of pocket, yeah.
Right. But it's good to know that they have it. However, sometimes it's not even needed if you present it in the right way to that appraiser. Again, it might not be an appraiser that knows the area as well, or it might have been a tougher property to comp out. Whatever it might be, us working together as a team, the odds are stacked greater in the favor of working it out as opposed to not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it'd be I'll die on that hill with you. The VA is the greatest loan product because it is.
They're all dying on that hill.
We're all die on that hill. But that the ability to challenge an appraised value, just the opportunity to do it, it's such a powerful tool for the buyer in a competitive situation. Conventional value, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
FHA, it is what it is. USDA, it is what it is. We're at the whim, and we don't have, with the lending reforms after 2008, we don't have any control over who does the appraisal. It could be, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's a local appraiser who knows the market, who knows the towns. Worst case scenario, we could have an appraiser from Delaware or North Jersey, Pennsylvania,
and doesn't know the area,
who's licensed in New Jersey, and they come in, they do an appraisal.
Well, and that's kind of what I want to end on is I think that people, again, when they want to buy and sell, they're even the whole process, start to finish, of even thinking about it versus listing or starting to buy and buying it up. We're talking maybe several months, maybe a year. I mean, some people will stretch it a little further, but it's a very short amount of time. And real estate there's trends.
it's ever changing.
And it's ever changing, and there's so much going on. It's hyper local. I grew up in Mount Laurel. I live in Medford now. I didn't even know one thing about Medford until I moved there. And I might have driven through the darn town 1,000 times, but I never drove into the neighborhoods. I didn't really understand the local nuances and all that. I didn't know. And so I just think people, by picking the right agent and team that's going to support them and surround them, they're increasing their odds of success. There's the odds are crazy when you take a look at the percentages of agents. I just saw the Circle of Excellence Awards come out, right? Lizzie, I mean, the two of you guys did, over $20 million last year. And I mean, we're talking your top, 100 out of thousands, like 6,000, 7,000, right? Something like that. And then nationwide, I would love to see, like, percentage wise, probably within like a couple percent, the top percent of all agents.
And it's all VA.
And it's all VA.
All VA.
Which goes to show you.
That's our passion.
Well, I always say real estate's like, every year you're in real estate's like dog years. So we're like,
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does.
so we're pushing 60, 70, 80 years here, all of us. But I think it's even more so with when you're doing military VA and navigating that whole thing. So I commend you guys, and I just thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
That was great. And of course, if they need to contact you guys, what is the website and how do they reach you?
BiddleGroup.com, and we are having some technical difficulties with the Biddle Group Facebook page, but Lizzie Biddle, just my main page for now. We also have the Biddle Group Instagram. Thanks, Meta.
Oh.
Yeah, AI.
Yeah.
Oh, and we might post there. All of a sudden, I'm going to get there. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. And of course, you need to reach Lizzie or Mike. You Google them. They're all over the place. Lizzie Biddle, Mike Wu, WU, and we'll put all their information in here. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time.